I do not like a lecture I did. What was it? Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna go look and see. It's a recent one. Oh yeah. Brothers and Sisters, The Wicked Things. I love the name of that, but I really just don't like the content. So I apologize if anybody has slogged through it, and it just has a lot of pauses and it seems really slow. I hate that slow stuff. I feel like the content was decent, but nothing really profound. It was just, now I'm all panicky about doing pauses because I'm worried it's going to be again like that. To be seen of the world. Do you see how to be seen of the world makes you lose power in your actions? Because you can't do it normally. I don't know. So, to be seen of the world, when I see my stuff and I'm like, ugh, I don't like that. You know? I don't know. I don't like how it sounds. I don't like how it is. But if I don't like how it sounds just because I think I sound dumb or whatever to others, I think that's when I'm trying to be seen of the world. But if I'm just like, I don't like how it sounds objectively, I don't like the pauses, I don't like the content really. I feel like I like the content okay. There's parts, but it's a long slog to get to the good parts. And so to be seen of the world. So now I'm not deleting that. I can't delete it because then I'm deleting it just to be seen of the world. So I'm seen as someone who doesn't have long pauses and insufficient content, who has this stupid stuff. So I'm leaving it up. Is this disclaimer to be seen of the world? No. It's just something I was thinking of. But now if I post it, I'm doing it to be seen of the world. But then if I don't post it, I'm not posting it to be seen of the world. It's like you can't get around it. If you are being seen in the world, there's a high likelihood you're doing things to be seen in a certain way. And if you're doing things to be seen in a certain way, there might be a likelihood that you're doing things more than 50% of the time to be seen in a certain way. And then you're focusing most of your energy on being seen of the world. Is it practical? Is it something that we have to do to be seen of the world? Are there times when it makes sense to be seen of the world? I mean, in this current society, it makes a whole lot of sense to be seen of the world a whole lot of the time. Like, I'm going in to talk to a potential job. I dress kind of weird, you know. How much do I do things to be seen of the world? Also, as I go work for a job, they're going to be requiring a certain way of looking to be seen of the world, but then that won't be me doing it, you know. And that's just me wearing the uniform of the job. It's just part of the job, right?
In a quarter mile, use the left 2 lanes to turn left onto Rogers Avenue.
So I go into the place wearing my normal situation with my normal van in its situation. It's a little messy, but do I hurry and clean off the dash? How much do I be seen of the world? The dash is pretty cluttered.
At the light, use the left 2 lanes to turn left onto Rogers Avenue.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you don't want to hire someone to be organized if their car is all crazy. But I will say, I'm really good at organizing, just not my own stuff. I love organizing. I love organizing other people's things, and I'm good at it. But my own stuff, not as much. I'd rather do other things. My things are there to be used for things. Like, I don't have things just so they look nice on a shelf. My things are being used by me and others just so much of the time that it's just...
Continue on Rogers Avenue for 1 mile.
It's impractical to put them away a lot of the time. And also, it's impractical to, like, spend a lot of time on that stuff that really doesn't matter that much. It's just aesthetics. And I really am not an aesthetic person. But, so for me, myself, it doesn't matter at all. For my kids, maybe I should give them a more aesthetic life so they don't grow up to be like me, but what's the heck's wrong with me anyway? So, anyway, but, you know, how's that gonna help me get a job? Should I do things to help me get a job, or should I do things to, just walk and talk with the Lord, you know, just walking and talking with God? Like, what does God want me to do, you know? Isn't God in control of this anyway? Like, am I just getting a job in God's world? Why do I need to put on anything different? Like, just do my day, do my thing, do my doing, you know? I guess it just kind of depends on what you believe. If it's all wacky anyway, well, it's just a running joke with God. But if you try to, like, I don't know, God has a different kind of thing. Like, you don't want to try to call him out on it, you know? It's kind of fun to be in the game, to be in the thing, to be in doing it. Does he want it to be all secret? Or is it supposed to be out in the open, knowing and doing, I don't know, blessing you in random ways? Oh, that dang socket. I found a socket. A 12mm socket. It's been missing from our set since we first got married. And it was just there the other day, just on my walk, on the ground. 12mm socket, just there it is. Like, oh my gosh. The one I'm missing. The one I could never remember, like, no matter what. I'm at the hardware store.
In a quarter mile, slight right onto Garrison Avenue.
I'm at the hardware store, and no matter what, I just don't remember to get it. I just don't remember to pick it up. It's been like 10 years. I just never get it. I never pick it. I never do it. I never remember to put it on a list.
At the light, slight right onto Garrison Avenue.
I rarely need it, but when I do need it, it's super annoying that I don't have it. I have needed it. I have a couple.
Continue for 5 miles.
I have a couple other socket sets, smaller ones or just different things. I can make it work, or I can not use metric. I can just use standard. But it's still missing, and it's still annoying. It's annoying that it's not a complete set. So I feel like that's God stuff sometimes. It's just like, for some reason, I can't remember to get it. It doesn't work out in my lifestyle to get this random little piece, and then somehow it just comes in. It's just like the pieces fit. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't know why that stuff is happening. It's wacky, and everyone, I mean, you hear it, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's just normal life. But when you experience it, and you see all the things that went into that situation, and like all the situations around the situation, it's just kind of specific. I don't know. It's oddly specific. To me, it's godly specific. It's oddly godly, right? It's just like, oh, that's odd. So if I am living in a literal God simulation kind of thing, it's perfectly safe, right? because the worst that can happen to me is I die, and then that was going to happen anyway. So, like, I don't know. Still safe. It's just a matter of what you want to get up to and what kind of things you want to see. What kind of things you do. How you accomplish your goals. I think how. Learning how.
Head northeast on North 5th Street toward North A Street.
Mm-hmm. So anyway.
Continue on US 64 West for 4 miles.
What are all the reasons I do things? It's mostly just whatever I feel like God wants me to do. I mean, a lot of times it makes sense just because this is what the situation calls for, but that's
Welcome to Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's kind of like that's what God wants me to do. It's because it would make sense to do, wouldn't it? He wants me to do the things that make sense to do, right? It's probably why it makes sense to do them. That could be a slippery slope, though, couldn't it? Think about all the examples we have of, like, true crime and cult situations. People just doing what they felt like they should do, even when it looked wacky. That's how a lot of genius things happen, too, right? I guess just if it's beneficial, ultimately positive for the group, then the group's going to say it was a good thing. And if it was ultimately negative for the group's going to say it's a bad thing. And I don't think that's necessarily an incorrect assumption. I think that is a correct assumption. But then people think, oh, my wacky idea is ultra positive. People just don't understand it or something. I don't know. I'm getting crazy. So there's got to be a metric for action. I think I've done another thing on how to have a metric for action, and I think that's pretty sound. I don't think going again. Yeah, that's the biggest one, though, to be seen of the world. And what do you do when you need to be seen of the world? Do you care? And how much do you care? And how much could you get away with not caring? It's kind of like that thing. It's like, well, let's see what happens. See if we can get away with it. Because a lot of people in my life, you know, like my mom, would say, that's insane. You know, you can't get away with that. You have to live in the real world sometimes, you know? It's like, yeah, well, the real world's just a collection of like-minded individuals. I mean, it's just what everybody's thinking about. The real world is really just whatever the majority of adults think is, like, really going on, you know? Whatever the biggest cult is, I guess. And you don't get to be the biggest cult without a few things that make sense and work, right? If your cult doesn't make sense for people, then it doesn't usually work out. That's when you get to be a fringy cult. When your cult makes sense, and it makes sense for the most people to do, because it makes a lot of sense to do, well, then your cult is just normal. It's just the normal thing. It's just real life, society, the world, right?
In half a mile, you will arrive at your destination.
I'll be arriving at my destination in a half a mile, so I better go. But yeah, I really don't like that one. It has such a good name, too. brothers and sisters, the wicked things. But it is true. Like, the stuff in there is legitimately the
You have
wicked
arrived.
things. Okay, I've arrived. I'm passing it now. Okay. Anyway, yes, it is. I mean, it's the wicked. It's not good. I don't know. The content's good. It's just not good. And I wish I saved that title for something really good. But you can't pick the titles. I don't pick the titles. I just I listen to it a couple of times. Sometimes only one time. But I listen to it, and then the title I just think about what it's about sometimes. Sometimes I pick phrases from it. Sometimes this one was mostly about, I think there was phrases in there that said brothers and sisters at some point, or the wicked things at some point, and then also that's just kind of what it's about. So that's how it went. But it's such a good title and such a mediocre, average video. Or not video, lecture.